Right now, a Madison police officer and his canine are injured in a head-on collision. What we know about the suspect and how you can help the officer.
And it was another very summer-like day in southern Wisconsin. I'll talk about how long the warmth will last coming up.
And later, how some of the Best of Madison winners are celebrating their awards tonight out on the dance floor. It's all ahead on News 3 Now at 10. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Eric Franke.
And I'm Sarah Carlson.
We begin tonight with a Madison police officer suffering from serious injuries after getting struck head-on during a chase over the weekend.
That's right. According to a post from Capital Canine, both Officer Ryan Kimberly and his canine Freddie were pulled from the squad car moments before it was engulfed in flames. It started about 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon when Monona police got a call about a tow truck driving recklessly.
The driver, 36-year-old Christopher Brugger Jr., led police on that chase before hitting Officer Kimberly's car, according to the Madison Police Department. Now, canine Freddie was only minimally hurt, but Officer Kimberly, we are told, is in serious but stable condition. Meanwhile, they say Brugger jumped out of the truck and took off running from officers before police arrested him. However, they say this is not his first run-in with the law. Court records show Brugger previously hit a Monona squad car back in 2022.
They're seeing the same people time and time again, and I think there'll be a lot of reflection that will need to go on within our justice community here in Dane County to see, should something differently have been done? Should this case have been handled, this individual been handled differently? At this time, I think it's too early, but certainly I think that will be examined.
Now, Capital Canines reported that canine Freddie was wearing a vest, which helped protect him from more serious injuries. Officer Kimberly is currently serving as well as a member of the Wisconsin Air National Guard's 115th Fighter Wing. The Dane County Sheriff's Office is handling the criminal investigation. The State Highway Patrol is handling the crash investigation, and both are ongoing at this time. And right now, a fundraiser has been set up for Officer Kimberly, and we have a link to that fundraiser and how you can help at channel3000.com. Just look for the story. Madison police are now investigating a homicide after the victim in a violent attack earlier this month died from their injuries. The Dane County Medical Examiner identifying the victim as 62-year-old Mark Tigular from Fitchburg. On September 20th, officers found him at 15 Breeze Terrace in a parking lot that's across the street from Camp Randall Stadium. Tigular was taken to the hospital where he died last Thursday. Now, later on the day of the attack, police arrested this man, Keith Jones, who they say is now in the Dane County Jail. UW police say the suspect and victim were co-workers and that the attack was targeted. Jones was off the clock but still in uniform when the attack occurred. Right now, police are recommending the district attorney charge Jones with first-degree intentional homicide.
We now know the date of the final pretrial conference for the man charged with killing another man outside of a Fitchburg bar earlier this year. Rodney Golden will return to court on December 11th. The charge stems from a stabbing outside of Cornerstone Grill, formerly known as Monkey Shine's Bar and Grill. Back on May 6th, Golden and the victim, 39-year-old Myron Dunlap, got in a fight at the bar. Records allege Dunlap slapped Golden. Then the two went outside, and that's where Golden allegedly stabbed Dunlap and then left the scene. The district attorney charged Golden, and he has pleaded not guilty.
A man accused of murdering a woman on Madison's east side last year is pleading guilty to first-degree intentional homicide. Terrence Davis is charged in the shooting death of Michaela Rogers. That incident happened near East Washington Avenue at Schmiedeman Avenue. Rogers and Davis were in a relationship at the time of the shooting. Davis turned himself into police the morning after it happened, reporting that he had injured someone and they were likely dead. A sentencing hearing will be held on December 5th. A 33-year-old man has been arrested after allegedly making threats to blow up the state capitol. Madison police say the man called 911 about 7:20 last Monday night, threatening to damage the capitol. Officers responded to University Avenue at Breeze Terrace, where they found him. The man has tentatively been charged with making terroristic threats and a probation violation.
Police are searching for a man they say inappropriately touched a woman in an elevator in downtown Madison. It happened on University Avenue near the Kohler Art Library September 9th. Take a look. The caller said she was in an elevator with this man when he tried to engage in small talk before touching her inappropriately as she left. If you have any information about this incident or know this man, you're asked to please call the Madison Police Department. The number there is 608-255-2345. If you would also like to remain anonymous, you can call the Madison Area Crime Stoppers.
In Michigan, authorities are still combing through the debris after a church attack left 4 people dead and 8 others injured. Worshippers were attending Sunday services when police say a man crashed his truck into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc Township. The suspect started shooting with an assault rifle and then used an accelerant like gasoline to set a fire. Authorities say the shooter died during an exchange of gunfire with police. The suspect identified as a 40-year-old U.S. Marine veteran who had served in the Iraq War.
This is clearly a mentally ill man, and we just don't understand the motive yet. What we know is that people who were just trying to pray at church were killed in their house of worship, a place that should be a sanctuary and safe. And we need to focus on the community right now and getting them the healing that they need.
Earlier today, a man drove a red car through a barricade near the church. Police say a 21-year-old is now in custody and they are investigating that incident.
Attorneys for the man accused of killing conservative activist Charlie Kirk made an appearance in court today. Tyler Robinson is charged with 7 counts, including murder. The 22-year-old was not in the courtroom but made an appearance virtually. Robinson's defense lawyers asked the judge to schedule another hearing in 30 to 60 days. They say they need time to review what prosecutors call a substantial amount of discovery in the case. The next hearing is set for October 30th, when Robinson will appear in person, and if convicted, he faces the death penalty. In weather now, more summer-like temps ahead. Let's check in with the first warn forecast. Here's meteorologist Jacob Montesano.
Yeah, today was definitely summer-like, and the fact that October is in 2 days doesn't really feel like it out there. Taking a look at the highs, 86 was the high in Madison, but a lot of the area in the middle to upper 80s, even close to some lower 90s out there. Now, for comparison, let's take a look at the average high, which is supposed to be 68, and we're actually way closer to the record today than we were with the average. Now, the overnight low a little bit closer to the average, and that's because the air is just a little dry, which is certainly some good news, making it feel not as warm as it actually is. Now, taking a look at the current temperatures, mostly in the 60s out there. Some areas have already dropped into the 50s, so the temperatures are cooling down very quickly. That 75 you see in Monroe is likely a bit cooler, probably closer to the 60s that the rest of the area is seeing. And overnight, we are going to see those temperatures dropping into the middle 50s. So despite the warm afternoon, it's still going to be rather chilly at times tonight. And then looking at tomorrow, another very warm day. And I'll continue talking about just how warm these temperatures are and how long they're going to be warm coming up a bit later.
The Madison Board of Education has voted to raise the annual stipend for its members from $8,000 to $15,000. Along with this annual pay raise, board members will also get $100 for attending and participating in half-day retreats, and then $200 for full-day retreats. While the board approved its raise, it unanimously shot down a motion to make board members eligible for district health care. Board members also voted against receiving a $3,500 yearly stipend for professional development.
Another candidate has thrown their hat in the ring for governor, promising to reject divisive politics. Democrat Missy Hughes is the former state economic development director. Hughes says as governor, she would push for higher wages, improving public schools, affordable and accessible child care and health care, and affordable housing. Meanwhile, U.S. Representative Tom Tiffany and Washington County Executive Josh Schoeman are the only 2 candidates on the Republican side of the race for governor.
Well, Madison Magazine is celebrating some of its Best of Madison winners tonight with a tasting party at the Edgewater.
And our Jalen Banks was down there soaking it all in, all the festivities from tonight's event.
Madison's Magazine Best of Madison Taste Party highlights some of the best food and drinks the Madison Metro has to offer. I spent the evening catching up with some of its vendors. Let's check it out. Madison Magazine's Best of Madison's Taste Party is a community event that highlights the best cuisine the area has to offer.
It's in celebration of our Best of Madison winners. So we have Best of Madison winners that are here as vendors, Best of Madison winners that are here as attendees, and then it's open to the public as well. So it's just a chance to celebrate in person our readers poll that is in its 44th year.
And this year's party is getting a fresh new look with a prom theme, encouraging vendors and attendees to celebrate in their best get-ups, all while putting on their best dance shoes.
We're hanging out with a bunch of great other local businesses here tonight that people vote for us and all of them, and just to get together and celebrate that is really cool. We appreciate our communities for helping us. They're the reason why we're here.
There's so many great places in Madison and surrounding areas like Milton, and people, I think, are really focusing more and more on local, and as a small business owner, I definitely can appreciate that.
The event is set to be back next year, continuing the goal of highlighting the area's best food and drinks. For now, reporting from the Edgewater Hotel, Jalen Banks, News 3 Now.
Jalen, thank you. Meanwhile, News 3 Now, Susan Simon finished in the top 3 for Best TV Personality, and Channel3000.com won Best Local News Website. And still ahead at 10, President Trump hosts Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, hoping to finalize a peace deal in Gaza.
Plus, the president also sits down with congressional leaders at the White House as the threat of a government shutdown intensifies. We'll be right back.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
With a government shutdown looming, President Trump met with congressional leaders at the White House today.
But both sides say no progress was made in avoiding a shutdown. Erica Brown has more.
President Trump met with Republican and Democratic congressional leaders at the White House Monday in a last-ditch effort to avert a looming government shutdown. Democratic leaders say it's now up to the president to find a solution.
But it's now in the president's hands. He can avoid a shutdown if he gets the Republican leaders to go along with what we want.
At issue, health care. Democrats are pushing for a spending bill that includes an extension of Affordable Care Act tax credits and rolls back Medicaid funding cuts.
Democrats are fighting to protect the health care of the American people. And we are not going to support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of everyday Americans. Period. Full stop.
Republicans say the demands are unreasonable and want to pass a short-term spending bill that would fund the government until mid-November, negotiating demands with Democrats on health care at a later time.
You don't put a gun to the American people's head and say, unless you do exactly what Senate and House Democrats want you to do, we're going to shut down your government. That's exactly what they're proposing out there.
If Congress doesn't get something to President Trump to sign by Tuesday night, the government faces a temporary shutdown and thousands of federal workers could be furloughed. A shutdown could lead to delays in Social Security checks in some veterans' services, along with closures of national parks and museums.
Well, we're going to see, but the radical left Democrats want to shut it down.
President Trump has repeatedly blamed Democrats for the stalemate, and the White House has threatened mass firings at federal agencies if no deal is reached. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
Members of the military, law enforcement, TSA agents, and air traffic controllers are among those who would have to continue work without pay in the event of a shutdown.
President Trump says he is close to reaching a final peace deal between Israel and Hamas. This after hosting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House. And ahead of a news conference, the White House released a 20-point plan. If agreed to by both sides, it would include an immediate ceasefire, the release of remaining Israeli hostages within no more than 72 hours, and Gaza will be governed under a temporary transitional Palestinian committee.
I support your plan to end the war in Gaza, which achieves our war aims. It will bring back to Israel all our hostages, dismantle Hamas's military capabilities, end its political rule, and ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel.
Now, last week, the president met with Arab leaders on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly, and the administration says it's had direct and indirect conversations with Hamas as well. Well, don't expect temperatures to cool off anytime soon. Jacob returns now, and he has our complete forecast.
Thanks, Eric. We're going to continue to see those high temperatures in the 80s. Warm air is expected to continue. We'll also be very dry during really this entire week. We aren't going to see the chance of rain until later in the weekend, which will cool the temperatures off a little bit, but it's only going to be cool compared to what we're seeing right now. The temperatures that are in the forecast for parts of next week will actually be pretty close to normal for this time of the year. Now, looking at the forecast for tomorrow, pretty similar to today, maybe a few degrees cooler, but still easily in the 80s for most of the region. A little bit more cloud cover as well, but still going to see plenty of sunshine and still going to see pretty much no chance of rain. Now, as we take a look at the highs going forward, again, they are going to stay in the 80s for the rest of the week. Normal high in the upper 60s, middle to upper 80s for Friday and Saturday. In fact, that high of 86 Saturday might break the record. And as I mentioned, we are going to see some cooler temperatures for next week. Now, looking at the record for Friday, as I mentioned, the record is 85 and our forecast is 86. The record was broken, or the record for that day was in 2005. That's October 3rd. So going to see very unseasonably warm temperatures continue into the weekend as well. Meanwhile, not really going to see any chance of rain until later in the weekend, but even then the rain chance is pretty small and a lot can still change between now and then. Now, I do want to talk about the situation in the tropics because we do have one tropical storm, one hurricane. This is Hurricane Humberto. Was a Category 5 storm, is decreasing a little bit, but still very powerful. But notice the track of the storm is expected to keep it well off to the east of the United States. And then looking at Tropical Storm Imelda, that is what the storm near Florida is named. This is also expected to track to the east. And so although there is some storm surge for parts of the Carolinas, not nearly as catastrophic as some other storms have been. So although still seeing some of that impact in the southeast United States, this is certainly not going to be a major issue. Now, taking a look at the future track of all this, again, this is expected to push off to the east. Is expected to impact Bermuda, but that'll be the only land where the storm will really cause impact. The United States, although they'll see some rain, still not going to see much. Now, before I show you Madison's 10-day forecast, do want to mention Badger football game in Michigan will feature warm temperatures as well. We're not the only area seeing the warm air, and at Michigan expected to see plenty of sunshine with some fairly warm temperatures, especially by the end of the game. Now, as we take a look at the 10-day forecast, a lot of sunshine, a lot of warm temperatures. Highs will be in the middle to upper 80s some days, but at the very least in the 70s until next week, where we are going to see the temperatures fall just a little bit, but those 60s will be much closer to normal than what we've seen and what we're going to continue to see this week.
All right, Jacob, thank you. The Packers are entering an early bye week after last night's game against the Cowboys that we all know it ended in a 40-40 tie.
That was a tough one. News 3 Now's senior Packers writer Jason Wilde has analysis on what went wrong.
During the Packers' first 3 games of the 2025 season, there was one thing you could count on. The defense was going to dominate. That group did it against the Detroit Lions in the opener, did it again to the Washington Commanders 4 days later, and even was dominant in the Packers' first loss of the season, that 13-10 defeat in Cleveland. If you remember, the Browns had to drive only 5 yards for their only touchdown against the Packers defense because of a Jordan Love interception late in that game. Well, it was a different story during the Packers' 40-40 tie with, or if you ask the players lost to, the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday night. In fact, the offense was so good and the defense so uncharacteristically bad that defensive end Micah Parsons felt the need to thank Jordan Love for keeping the Packers in the game.
I'm very disappointed just overall how we performed. I even told Jordan to the side, thank you for having our back today. That's why it's so pivotal that, you play complimentary football, because today Jordan played like the player he was, and we let him down. We didn't live up to the expectations on defense.
We'll see if the Packers come back from their bye week having figured out how to sustain their offensive production and fix whatever ailed their defense against the Cowboys. Their next game is October 12th against the Cincinnati Bengals back at Lambeau Field. We will have full coverage of the Packers even during the bye week at channel3000.com for free. And while you're there, don't forget to sign up for the newsletter, which delivers our Packers coverage directly to your inbox every single day. In Green Bay, Jason Wilde, channel3000.com.
Through Milwaukee, hear from Brewers manager Pat Murphy on the team's historic regular season. That's next in sports.
Earlier tonight, just like every Monday, right here at Jay's Bar in Madison, we taped our latest episode of the Wisconsin Huddle. This week's guest was Jada Chernelia, a member of the Wisconsin volleyball team, a volleyball team that Kelly Sheffield says is on track to get to the national title winning team that they want to be. His favorite part of being a coach is that daily grind that results over time and reveals itself when it matters most.
A big part of the joy of sports is progress and just heading in from week to week and growing. And, I think every week we've looked a little bit better, but I think this next week in front of us is a little bit more of, probably even more of a challenge.
To the basketball court for some big-time Badger news. Wisconsin men's basketball's special assistant to their head coach, Kirk Penny, has resigned. In better news, Greg Gard quickly found a great replacement for that role in Brad Davison, who of course played 5 seasons at UW. Penny, though, is a big blow. He revolutionized Wisconsin's fast-paced offense. Here's what John Tange had to say about the new former coach during last year's Big Ten tournament.
I want to give a shout out to Coach Kirk Penny. He's a mastermind behind things and showed us some film and ways to adjust from the last game. And I really think we just took advantage of some of those things that he taught us and kind of really opened up.
The Brewers have only finished the regular season with the best record in baseball twice. Once in 1982, the only year that they made it to the World Series. The other year was this year, 2025. A year in which they also set a franchise record with 97 wins. Pat Murphy isn't one to care about records, but this is one the skip says that shouldn't be ignored.
Yeah, I mean, it's a way for this team to get recognized, and they should be. You know, especially where they came from and where no one expected this. And to break the franchise record for wins, would you have said that coming out of New York or after opening day here? It just shows you who's in the room and who's competing out there.
Tonight, Colbert welcomes Conan O'Brien. But who's interviewing who?
Let's take a look.
All new CBS Tonight.
Conan O'Brien, everybody!
Finally tonight, researchers in Texas say they've identified the first known wild hybrid between a blue jay and a green jay. According to a study published earlier this month in the journal Ecology and Evolution, the unusual bird was spotted in 2023 near San Antonio.
Yeah, meet the grue jay. I didn't even know there was a green jay. Researchers say it carries traits of both species, blue feathers and white spots on its wings like a blue jay, but markings and vocalizations of a green jay. Genetic testing confirmed the offspring came from a male blue jay and female green jay. How sweet. Only one other example of this exists. It was born in captivity in the 1960s. That's so pretty. I do love blue jays.
The blue jays are out right now quite a bit. You hear them chirping in our back lot here.
I'm glad you said you haven't heard of a green jay, because when I thought that, I thought I was dumb. But I'm so glad you said that.
Definitely new to me, but
yeah.
The birds are still out. They're loving this weather.
Yeah, very warm, and that's going to continue really all this week with plenty of sunshine.
All right, Colbert coming your way next. Our next newscast tomorrow morning at 4:30.
Thanks for watching, everyone. You can always find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+.